It started with a weight on my chest, not heavy like a boulder, more like someone had draped a wet blanket over me, just enough to make breathing uncomfortable. I was staring at the ceiling, unable to blink, unable to move, unable to scream. My roommate, Daniel, was snoring softly a few feet away, completely unaware that I was trapped inside my own body. That was my first sleep paralysis episode. I brushed it off the next morning, chalking it up to stress. I was working 2 jobs, barely getting 5 hours of sleep, and my diet consisted of instant noodles and vending machine coffee. My body was breaking down, so maybe my brain was glitching too. But then it happened again, and again. The second time, I thought I heard breathing in the room, slow, controlled, like someone trying not to be noticed. I tried to convince myself it was Daniel, but his breath had a rhythm. This one was intentional, measured, too close to my face. I told him about it, hoping for a laugh, something to break the tension. He didn't laugh. He looked at me strangely, then said, "You sure you weren't dreaming?" I wasn't. I was completely awake, just paralyzed. Over the next few weeks, it escalated. It always started the same way. I'd lie down after a long day, close my eyes for what felt like seconds, and suddenly I'd be awake, but frozen. I could hear everything. The hum of the fan, dogs barking in the alley, even traffic outside. But my body was a corpse. One night, something changed. I was stuck in paralysis again. My eyes were wide open, staring at the faint outline of the ceiling fan spinning. The room was darker than usual, like the shadows had grown legs. That's when I noticed something different. My door was cracked open. I always closed it. Always. At first, I thought it was Daniel, but I couldn't hear his breathing. Then I saw the door shift, just slightly, like someone was nudging it open with their toe. I couldn't look away. I wanted to desperately, but my eyeballs were fixed. A shape, human-sized, lean, slipped in through the gap. I couldn't make out its features, only that it was barefoot and moved slowly, almost deliberately, like it knew I couldn't scream. I could feel sweat trickling down the side of my head, even though my body was frozen. The figure just stood there, watching me. Then, mercifully, I snapped out of it. I gasped, jerking upright, heartbeat in my throat. The room was empty. The door was shut. Daniel wasn't home that night. I told myself it was a hallucination, part of the paralysis, but something about it felt too specific, too real. A few days later, I bought a cheap security camera and set it up facing my bedroom door, just for peace of mind. That night, I had another episode, worse than all the others. I woke up paralyzed, as usual, but this time I heard a sound, a soft creak like a floorboard underweight, then a whisper, barely audible, right next to my ear. "You're awake." I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. All I could do was lie there and listen to someone pacing around my room, touching things, my desk, my closet doors, even the edge of my bed. My eyes watered from sheer panic. Then, finally, I slipped back into unconsciousness. In the morning, I told Daniel everything. He looked disturbed but said maybe I needed sleep meds or a therapist. That's when I remember the camera. With shaking hands, I opened the app and played back the footage. Most of it was uneventful, just me tossing in bed, then lying still. But at 3:11 a.m., the door opened. Not fully, just enough for someone to slide inside. A man, tall, wearing dark clothes and no shoes. He didn't look at the camera. He walked directly to my bed, stood over me for about 30 seconds, then leaned in. He touched my face, my real face. I paused the video. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't sleep paralysis. Someone had been coming into my room. I called the police. They reviewed the footage, but the man's face was turned away the whole time. There were no signs of forced entry. Our front door lock hadn't been broken. Nothing was stolen, but I noticed something the officers didn't. He had a key. I confronted Daniel. I didn't want to believe it, but part of me already knew. He broke down almost immediately. He'd been giving a friend of his, someone I didn't know, a place to crash while I was at work. Apparently, The guy got curious about me, started watching me sleep. Daniel claimed he had no idea it went that far. The police never found the guy. Daniel moved out a few days later. I changed the locks, installed better cameras, and started sleeping with a bat under my bed. I haven't had sleep paralysis since. I first noticed something was wrong when I woke up and couldn't move my fingers. The room was still, too still. Not in the peaceful, early morning way, but in the kind of way that presses on your chest, like the whole world is holding its breath. My eyes fluttered open, and the red numbers on my alarm clock glared back at me. 3:17 a.m. It had been happening for weeks by then, always at this time. At first, I thought it was stress. I'd started a new job, security night shifts at a construction supply warehouse, and my sleep schedule was wrecked. Sleep paralysis is what the internet called it. The mind wakes up, the body doesn't. Common, not dangerous, but no one talks about how it feels, how real it all seems. The first time it happened, I woke up to the sound of breathing that wasn't mine. Heavy, nasal, like someone was standing right next to the bed, just outside my line of sight. My eyes wouldn't move, but I could feel them. Feet on the hardwood, shifting weight. The whisper of fabric. I lay there for what felt like hours, sweat slicking my back, heart pounding in my ears. Then I snapped out of it, just like that. The noise vanished. I gasped and sat up alone. I even laughed a little, shaky and stupid. It was all in your head. But then it kept happening. Every few nights, always around 3 a.m. I'd wake up frozen, sometimes to whispering, other times to pressure like someone sitting on my chest. One night, I was sure I heard the drawers opening in my kitchen. I lived alone. I told myself it was dreams bleeding into half-wakefulness. I told myself that until I started finding things moved in the morning. A spoon on the floor, the hallway light on, my front door unlocked. I changed the locks. I set up a camera in my room. I never caught anything, just static when the episodes hit. A few frames skipped, my body lying stiff in bed. The worst night came on a Sunday. I come back from work dead on my feet. I showered, ate half a sandwich, and crashed. I remember the exact moment I woke up because it didn't feel like waking. It felt like falling into awareness. My chest was ice cold, my body nailed to the mattress. And this time, there was sound, scraping, metal on metal, slow, deliberate, from the living room. My apartment is small. Living room's 15 feet from my bedroom door. My eyes flicked to the corner of the room. The door was open. There was a shadow, not a vague shape, but a real outline. Tall, slightly hunched, like a man standing perfectly still. I tried to scream. Nothing. My throat felt glued shut. I counted the seconds in my head. Tried to blink. Tried to twitch. My heart was a drum, thudding faster than my brain could think. Then the shadow moved. It didn't lurch or dart. It just walked straight toward me. I could hear the floorboards groan, each step impossibly slow, controlled. It stopped at my bedside. I couldn't see a face. I didn't want to, but I could feel breath on my cheek, hot and steady. A whisper, "You're a light sleeper." And just like that, I could move. I lurched up, flailing, hitting nothing. The room was empty. The hallway silent. I turned every light on, shaking. Nothing was missing. Nothing was broken. But something had changed. I stopped sleeping. For 3 days, I stayed awake. Called in sick. Took showers just to keep my eyes open. But eventually, exhaustion crushed me. I passed out on the couch. When I woke up, the sleep paralysis didn't come. Not that night. Not the next. But I wasn't relieved, because something still fell off. The kind of off you feel when a window's been opened in the night, even if it's closed now. A week later, I got a call. It was from the night guard who replaced me at the warehouse. Said someone had broken in, sometime between 2:45 and 3:30 a.m. The cameras had glitched. Nothing was taken. But in the break room, someone had carved a word into the table with a box cutter. Awake. I moved out 2 days later. Different apartment, different schedule. And for a while, things were quiet. Then last night, I woke up. 3:17 a.m. Chest tight, breath shallow, couldn't move. And this time, the bedroom door was already open.